Habits are one of the most powerful forces shaping our lives, often working in the background of our daily actions and decisions, without us fully realizing their influence. From the moment we wake up to when we go to bed, many of our thoughts and behaviors are driven by habits, which have been formed over time through repetition and reinforcement. Our minds tend to rely on habits because they make our lives easier by reducing the need to make conscious decisions constantly. However, the downside is that bad habits, once established, can be incredibly difficult to break, often leading us into patterns of thinking and acting that cause stress, dissatisfaction, or even harm. Whether we're aware of it or not, our habits dictate how we react to people, how we handle challenges, and even how we see ourselves. For example, if you've developed a habit of quickly judging others, it becomes second nature, and you may find yourself missing out on deeper, more meaningful relationships. Similarly, if you habitually procrastinate, it might feel like you're constantly racing against the clock, never quite catching up, and always feeling guilty or stressed. In contrast, developing positive habits, such as exercising regularly, eating well, or practicing mindfulness, can improve our lives dramatically by fostering a sense of discipline, control, and overall well-being. Thus, understanding the role of habits is crucial to making meaningful changes in our lives. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, offers profound insights into how we can address and change our habits. He emphasizes that habits are like muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they become. Every time you act on a habit, whether good or bad, you reinforce it, making it easier to repeat the behavior in the future. For example, if you often react with anger when things don't go your way, you're strengthening your anger habit. Over time, anger becomes your default reaction to any frustration or inconvenience. On the other hand, if you practice patience in those moments, you're building a habit of calm and self-control, which can lead to more peaceful interactions and less emotional turmoil. What's critical here is recognizing that habits don't form overnight, and they don't disappear overnight either. Just as it took time to develop your current habits, it will take time and consistent effort to replace bad habits with good ones. However, the effort is well worth it. By consciously choosing to practice virtues like patience, kindness, or resilience in challenging situations, you can rewire your brain to default to these positive responses over time. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to maintain these new habits, leading to long-term changes in your behavior and mindset. One of the key strategies Epictetus offers for breaking bad habits is to understand that indulging in them only makes them stronger. Each time you give in to a bad habit, whether it's procrastination, anger, or worry, you reinforce its grip on you. It's like adding fuel to a fire. The more you feed it, the larger and more uncontrollable it becomes. This is why it's so important to stop bad habits in their tracks as soon as you recognize them. For example, if you feel yourself getting angry, instead of letting the emotion take over, pause and ask yourself whether this reaction will actually help the situation. More often than not, you'll find that acting out of anger only makes things worse. By choosing not to react in the same old way, you start to weaken the habit. Each time you resist the urge to fall back into a bad habit, you're taking a step toward breaking its hold on you. This doesn't mean the process will be easy. Bad habits can be incredibly persistent, especially if they've been reinforced over a long period of time. But with each small victory, you'll find that the habit's power over you diminishes, and over time, you'll be able to overcome it entirely. Another crucial piece of advice from Epictetus is that you must take responsibility for your habits and not make excuses for them. It's easy to justify bad behavior by saying things like, "I'm just an impatient person," or "I can't help getting angry, that's just who I am." However, these excuses only serve to keep you trapped in the same negative patterns. By shifting your mindset and acknowledging that you have the power to change your habits, you can begin the process of transformation. One way to do this is by catching yourself in the act of a bad habit and consciously choosing a different response. For example, if you tend to speak harshly to others when you're frustrated, the next time you feel frustration rising, pause before you speak. Take a deep breath and choose to respond with kindness or neutrality instead. Over time, these small changes add up, and before you know it, you'll find that your old habits have been replaced by new, more positive ones. This process of habit transformation is not just about suppressing bad habits, but actively working to build better ones in their place. Epictetus also emphasizes the importance of not delaying change. It's easy to tell ourselves that we'll start working on our habits tomorrow or next week, or when things calm down in our lives. But the truth is, the longer you put off changing a bad habit, the harder it becomes to break. Habits are like paths in the forest. The more you walk down the same path, the more defined and easier to follow it becomes. If you want to change, you need to start walking a new path now, not later. This doesn't mean you need to overhaul all your habits at once. In fact, trying to do too much at once can be overwhelming and lead to burnout. Instead, start with one habit at a time. Focus on small, manageable changes and build momentum from there. Over time, as you see the results of your efforts, you'll find it easier to tackle other habits and make even more positive changes in your life. The key is consistency. By taking small, consistent steps toward better habits, you create lasting change that becomes part of who you are. One powerful technique for breaking bad habits is to introduce a pause between stimulus and response. Often, our bad habits are triggered by specific situations or emotions, and we react automatically without thinking. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, your immediate reaction might be to get angry or honk your horn. But by introducing a pause, a moment of reflection, you give yourself the opportunity to choose a different response. Instead of reacting with anger, you might choose to let it go and continue driving peacefully. This pause is incredibly powerful because it gives you control over your actions and emotions rather than being controlled by them. Over time, practicing this pause in different situations helps you weaken the automatic responses that fuel bad habits, allowing you to build new, more positive habits in their place. Finally, Epictetus warns that bad habits can weaken your mind, making it harder to resist them in the future. Every time you give in to a bad habit, you're not just reinforcing that specific behavior, you're also weakening your overall mental and emotional resilience. This is why it's so important to stay vigilant and not let yourself make exceptions. Even one slip can set you back significantly, so it's crucial to remain committed to your goal of breaking the habit. On the flip side, every time you resist a bad habit, you're not only weakening its hold on you, but you're also strengthening your mind and building your capacity for self-discipline. Over time, as you continue to practice self-control, you'll find it easier and easier to resist bad habits and make positive choices in your life. The process of breaking habits is not just about improving your behavior, it's about transforming your mind and becoming the best version of yourself. By consistently applying these principles, you can reshape your habits, improve your life, and develop the mental and emotional strength to handle whatever challenges come your way.